Gentlemen, witness the Navy's brilliant new diversity initiative. Send a grease monkey to do a warrior's job. The words cut through the humid Virginia air like shattered glass. Lieutenant Commander Beckett Crowley's voice dripped with contempt as 30 pairs of eyes turned toward the lone figure approaching the M242 Bushmaster cannon. The Naval Weapons Training Facility buzzed with anticipation. Blood in the water, fresh meat for the sharks. Petty Officer Kira Larkin walked across the concrete range with measured steps. Her boots made soft sounds against the textured surface. Around her, naval personnel formed a loose semicircle of observers. Some crossed their arms, others whispered behind cupped hands. All watched with the hungry attention of predators sensing weakness. The morning sun cast harsh shadows between the training stations. Metal gleamed, sweat already beaded on foreheads despite the early hour. The air tasted of gun oil and expectation. Somewhere in the distance, a jet engine roared to life. Normal sounds of a base coming alive. Nothing normal about this moment. Kira approached the weapons system with deliberate calm. Her coveralls bore fresh oil stains from the maintenance bay. Grease smudged her knuckles, hair pulled back in regulation style. Everything about her screamed mechanic, everything except her eyes. They held something deeper, something that didn't quite fit the surface narrative. She stumbled slightly while adjusting her stance. A boot caught on an equipment case edge. Tools rattled. Nervous laughter rippled through the crowd. Crowley's smile widened. Validation of every assumption he'd made about sending maintenance personnel to weapons qualification. "Careful there, Princess," he called out loud enough for everyone to hear. "That cannon doesn't come with training wheels." More laughter. Louder now, emboldened by leadership participation. Senior Chief Easton Carver stepped forward from the group. His weathered face wore the expression of a man enjoying a private joke. 28 years in the Navy had taught him to recognize incompetence from 50 yards. "Maybe we should call beauty school instead," Carver suggested. "Get those nails done proper." The crowd erupted, some doubled over, others slapped knees. Pure entertainment on an otherwise routine training day. Watching the quiet mechanic fumble with equipment beyond her understanding. The morning's greatest show. Kira absorbed the mockery without visible reaction. She settled into position behind the weapon system, adjusted her grip with small movements, checked sight alignment with methodical precision. Then something interesting happened, something nobody noticed except Master Chief Noel Harlow, who watched from the observation platform with calculating eyes. Kira began breathing in a specific pattern. 4 counts in, 4 counts out, 4 counts hold, repeat. The rhythm was too practiced, too automatic. Basic training taught simple breath control. This was something else entirely. Something that required months of conditioning under extreme stress. Her shoulders settled. Micro tremors disappeared from her hands. The stumbling, nervous mechanic transformed into something more focused, more controlled. The change lasted only seconds before she caught herself, returned to the expected performance of uncertainty and inadequacy. If stories like this intrigue you, hit that like button and subscribe for more tales of hidden strength and unexpected heroes. You never know who might be standing right next to you. The transformation went unnoticed by the crowd. They were too busy enjoying the spectacle, too invested in their assumptions to observe the reality unfolding before them. Crowley strutted closer to the firing line. His voice projected authority and disdain in equal measure. "Listen up, people. Today we witness what happens when the Navy prioritizes feelings over qualifications." He gestured toward Kira with theatrical contempt. "Petty Officer Larkin here thinks 3 months of turning wrenches qualifies her for advanced weapons systems." Murmurs of agreement ran through the assembled personnel. Heads nodded, arms crossed tighter. The narrative felt comfortable, familiar, easy to accept without examination. A maintenance worker attempting combat qualifications. Obviously doomed to failure. Obviously worth mocking. "Sir?" Kira spoke for the first time. Her voice was quiet but clear. "I'm ready to begin the qualification sequence." "Oh, she's ready," Crowley announced to his audience. "Did everyone hear that? The grease monkey is ready to play with the big kids' toys." The laughter came harder now, meaner, fed by group dynamics and encouraged leadership. Someone in the back shouted something about kitchen duty. Another voice suggested secretarial work. The suggestions grew cruder, more personal, the kind of hazing that crossed lines but happened anyway when authority figures enabled it. Kira's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. Her breathing pattern maintained its disciplined rhythm. 4 in, 4 out, 4 hold. The mockery washed over her like rain on stone. She'd heard worse, survived worse. This was just another test disguised as entertainment. Master Chief Harlow descended from the observation platform. Her approach cut through the crowd noise like a ship's bow through water. Personnel stepped aside, voices dropped. Even Crowley modulated his tone when she drew near. Harlow carried 30 years of service and zero tolerance for stupidity. Her presence changed atmospheric pressure. "Enough chatter," she announced. "Let's see what Petty Officer Larkin can do." The crowd settled into expectant silence. This was the moment they'd all come to witness. The inevitable failure, the confirmation of their assumptions, the validation of their prejudices wrapped in the authority of official evaluation. Kira positioned herself behind the M242 system. The weapon stood massive and intimidating. Its 30mm cannon could punch through armor plating, devastate enemy positions, require precise understanding of ballistics, targeting, and mechanical operation, far beyond the presumed capabilities of a simple mechanic. She began her initial equipment check with systematic thoroughness, verified ammunition feed mechanisms, tested elevation controls, confirmed targeting system functionality. Each movement revealed knowledge that seemed inconsistent with her supposed background. Too smooth, too confident, too practiced. The precision caught Carver's attention first. He moved closer to observe her technique. Something felt wrong about her approach. Not wrong in terms of procedure, wrong in terms of expectation. She handled the controls like someone who'd done this before, many times before. "Interesting grip technique," he commented loud enough for others to hear. "Where'd you learn that hold?" Kira paused. She'd positioned her hands exactly as trained in advanced weapons courses. Muscle memory had overridden conscious thought. The grip provided maximum control and stability, standard for combat applications, unusual for basic qualifications. "Manual specifications, Senior Chief," she replied carefully. "Which manual?" Carver pressed. "Because I've been training personnel on this system for 8 years. Never seen anyone position their support hand quite like that." The observation drew more attention. Other instructors moved closer. Professional interest replaced casual mockery. Something about her technique suggested training beyond standard Navy protocols, training that raised questions about her background and current assignment. Crowley sensed the shift in atmosphere. His entertainment was transforming into something more serious, something that might reflect poorly on his judgment if the mechanic actually demonstrated competence. He needed to regain control of the narrative. "Senior Chief raises a valid concern," he announced. "Perhaps Petty Officer Larkin has been receiving unauthorized instruction, training above her clearance level." The suggestion carried ominous implications. Military protocol governed training access based on security clearances and operational necessity. A maintenance worker receiving advanced weapons instruction could indicate security violations, unauthorized access to classified procedures. "I've studied available materials, sir," Kira responded. "Technical manuals are part of my maintenance responsibilities." "Maintenance manuals don't cover firing techniques," Carver observed. "They focus on mechanical repair and routine service. Your positioning suggests operational training." The crowd stirred with renewed interest. The narrative was shifting from simple mockery to potential misconduct investigation. More serious, more consequential. The stakes had risen beyond mere entertainment. Kira felt the change in dynamics. She'd revealed too much too quickly. Her cover required maintaining the appearance of basic competence struggling toward adequacy. Instead, her unconscious movements suggested advanced training that didn't fit her official record. She deliberately fumbled with the next control adjustment, made it appear uncertain, uncomfortable. The performance felt awkward after years of smooth operation under combat conditions. But maintaining cover meant embracing apparent incompetence. "Sorry, Senior Chief," she said with manufactured hesitancy. "Still learning the system." The explanation satisfied most observers. Training personnel often displayed mixed competence during qualification attempts. Initial confidence followed by uncertainty was common, normal progression for someone pushing beyond their comfort zone. But Harlow continued watching with analytical intensity. Something about Larkin's recovery seemed too practiced, too smooth, like someone consciously adjusting their performance rather than genuinely struggling with unfamiliar equipment. The distinction was subtle but significant. "Proceed with the qualification sequence," Harlow instructed. "Standard protocol, 5 targets, 60 seconds maximum. The announcement focused everyone's attention on the immediate challenge: 5 targets at varying distances and elevations. Time pressure adding stress to technical requirements. Most personnel required multiple attempts to achieve passing scores. First-time success was rare even for experienced gunners. Kira settled into final firing position. The crowd formed a safe observation line behind protective barriers. Anticipation filled the air like humidity before a storm. Everyone expected failure. Some hoped for spectacular failure. Entertainment value increasing with the magnitude of incompetence. She initiated the targeting sequence with practiced efficiency, located the first target through her scope, adjusted for range and windage. The movements flowed smoothly despite her earlier manufactured hesitation. Muscle memory overriding conscious performance once again. The efficiency caught multiple observers off guard. Her target acquisition speed seemed inconsistent with novice-level experience. Too fast, too confident, too precise for someone supposedly learning advanced weapons systems. Petty Officer Keaton Winslow noticed the discrepancy first. He'd been watching from the equipment area, tasked with ammunition handling and safety monitoring. His position provided clear views of Kira's technique and timing. Something was definitely wrong with the official narrative. Winslow felt a surge of resentment. He'd been requesting advanced training opportunities for months, denied due to staffing requirements and security clearance limitations. Now this mechanic was demonstrating skills that exceeded his own capabilities, skills she shouldn't possess according to her personnel file. The unfairness burned in his chest. He'd served faithfully for 5 years, followed every regulation, completed every assignment without complaint. Yet this woman, transferred from some maintenance unit, displayed expertise that made him look inadequate in comparison. He made a decision that would escalate the situation beyond simple testing. Moving casually toward the targeting control station, he activated a system check protocol that would interfere with scope calibration, a subtle sabotage that would cause shot placement errors. The interference wouldn't be immediately obvious. The targeting system would appear functional while providing incorrect data. Kira would aim accurately, but miss targets due to false information. Her failure would seem genuine while actually being engineered. Winslow completed the sabotage undetected. The system displayed normal status indicators despite the corrupted calibration. He returned to his observation position with satisfaction. Justice would be served. The pretender would be exposed. Kira began her firing sequence unaware of the equipment tampering. She aligned her first shot with practiced precision, controlled breathing, smooth trigger pull, perfect technique applied to compromised equipment. The round impacted 2 feet left of target center, a clear miss despite apparently correct procedure. Disappointed murmurs ran through the crowd, validation of their expectations, confirmation that technical knowledge couldn't replace genuine training. "Wide left," Crowley announced with satisfaction, "exactly what we expected." Kira examined her scope alignment with confusion. Everything appeared correct. Her sight picture had been textbook perfect. The miss didn't match her input. Something was interfering with weapon accuracy. She adjusted her aim to compensate for the apparent error. Fired her second round with identical technique but modified target point. The shot landed close to her original aim point, still missing the actual target but consistent with her initial calculations. "Another miss," Carver observed. "Maybe stick to changing oil filters." The crowd laughed, but with less enthusiasm than before. Something felt wrong about the pattern. Experienced personnel recognized consistent error versus random incompetence. Her misses were systematic, predictable, not characteristic of poor technique. Harlow moved closer to the weapon system. Her expression shifted from casual observation to professional analysis. Systematic misses suggested equipment problems rather than operator error. She'd seen similar patterns during maintenance issues and calibration failures. "Cease fire," she commanded. "System check." The order surprised everyone. Standard protocol allowed complete qualification attempts unless safety concerns arose. Equipment checks typically occurred between sessions, not during active testing. Her intervention suggested technical problems rather than operator failure. Harlow approached the targeting controls with diagnostic equipment. She began systematic verification of system functionality. Calibration settings, sensor alignments, electronic interfaces. The comprehensive check would reveal any mechanical or software issues affecting accuracy. Winslow felt panic rising in his throat. His sabotage would be discovered during thorough diagnostics. The false calibration data would expose his interference. His career would face immediate termination, possible criminal charges for equipment tampering. He had to act quickly to avoid detection. Moving toward Harlow with apparent helpfulness, he offered assistance with the diagnostic procedures. Professional courtesy masking desperate attempts to conceal evidence of his sabotage. "I can help with the system reset, Master Chief," he suggested. "Save you some time." "Already handled, Petty Officer," Harlow replied without looking up from her instruments. Interesting findings here. The diagnostic revealed exactly what she expected. Calibration data had been corrupted, not through mechanical failure or routine wear. Someone had deliberately introduced false parameters into the targeting system. Sabotage disguised as technical malfunction. "Equipment tampering," she announced to the assembled crowd. "Deliberate corruption of calibration data." The revelation shocked most observers. Equipment sabotage was serious misconduct, potentially dangerous to personnel and devastating to careers. Everyone began looking around suspiciously, wondering who would commit such an offense. Winslow attempted to appear surprised by the announcement. He opened his eyes wider, shook his head with apparent disbelief, performed innocence for an audience that wasn't paying attention to his reaction. Everyone was focused on the implications of deliberate sabotage. "Who had access to the targeting controls?" Harlow demanded. Several personnel raised their hands. Standard protocol required multiple individuals to monitor different system components during qualification testing. Access was necessary, but controlled through established procedures. "I'll need to interview each individual with system access," Harlow continued. "This is now a formal investigation." The crowd began dispersing as the situation transformed from entertainment to official misconduct proceedings. What had started as casual mockery was becoming serious business with career-threatening consequences for someone present. Kira remained at the weapons station while others moved away. Her qualification attempt was suspended pending investigation completion. The delay frustrated her but provided time to analyze what had occurred. Someone had deliberately interfered with her testing. She began reviewing system components with methodical thoroughness. Her examination revealed subtleties that escaped initial diagnostic procedures, traces of tampering hidden beneath surface-level corruption, evidence of sophisticated sabotage designed to avoid detection. The skill level required for such interference suggested military training, technical knowledge of weapon systems, access to specialized diagnostic tools, not random vandalism but calculated sabotage executed by someone with advanced capabilities. Her analysis identified the specific nature of the corruption. Targeting data had been shifted by precise mathematical constants. The sabotage wasn't random interference but systematic distortion designed to cause consistent errors. Professional work disguised as equipment failure. "Master Chief," Kira called, "I found additional evidence." Harlow approached the weapon system where Kira had continued her examination. The mechanic's diagnostic technique impressed the senior enlisted leader. Thorough, systematic, more advanced than expected from maintenance personnel. "Show me what you've discovered," Harlow instructed. Kira pointed to specific components while explaining her findings. "The calibration corruption follows logarithmic patterns. Whoever did this understands advanced ballistics calculations. They knew exactly how to create systematic targeting errors." The explanation demonstrated knowledge well beyond basic maintenance training. Ballistics mathematics required specialized education. Understanding logarithmic distortion patterns suggested advanced weapon systems coursework, training not available to standard maintenance personnel. Harlow studied Kira with renewed interest. Something about this woman didn't match her official record. Her diagnostic skills exceeded her supposed background. Her technical vocabulary suggested training beyond routine mechanical repair. "Where did you learn ballistics mathematics, Petty Officer?" Harlow asked directly. Kira realized she'd revealed too much once again. Her analysis had drawn from knowledge gained through specialized training programs not listed in her current personnel file, programs that would raise uncomfortable questions about her background and current assignment. "Self-study, Master Chief," she replied carefully. "Technical manuals cover basic principles." "Basic principles don't include logarithmic pattern recognition," Harlow observed. "That's advanced coursework material." The conversation was interrupted by Crowley's approach. He'd been observing from a distance while the investigation proceeded. The discovery of sabotage complicated his narrative about inevitable failure. The mechanic's competence was becoming difficult to dismiss. "What's the status of this investigation?" he demanded. "We have training schedules to maintain." "Equipment sabotage has been confirmed," Harlow reported. "Petty Officer Larkin's qualification attempt was compromised by deliberate interference." Crowley processed this information with obvious displeasure. The sabotage removed his justification for mocking her performance. Worse, it suggested she might actually possess genuine competence, a possibility that threatened his assumptions and authority. Very convenient, he said skeptically. Equipment fails just when the mechanic needs an excuse. This wasn't equipment failure, sir, Harlow corrected. This was deliberate sabotage. Someone intentionally corrupted the targeting system to cause systematic errors. And how do we know the mechanic didn't sabotage it herself? Crowley suggested. Create her own excuse for inevitable failure? The accusation hung in the air like smoke from burning metal. Self-sabotage was possible but rarely logical. Creating evidence of misconduct to excuse poor performance would result in more serious consequences than simple failure. Kira felt anger rising in her chest. The suggestion was both insulting and illogical. She'd requested this qualification opportunity, worked extra shifts to earn the chance. Why would she sabotage her own testing? Sir, that makes no sense, she replied with controlled restraint. I volunteered for this qualification. Self-sabotage would be counterproductive. Unless you realized you weren't prepared, Crowley countered. Better to claim sabotage than admit incompetence. The logic was twisted but superficially plausible. Personnel sometimes created external excuses for personal failures. Equipment problems provided convenient explanations for poor performance. The theory fit preconceived assumptions about her capabilities. Harlow observed the exchange with growing irritation. Crowley's accusations were unprofessional and illogical. His obvious bias against the petty officer was compromising objective evaluation of evidence and circumstances. Lieutenant Commander, she interrupted, the sabotage evidence is conclusive. Someone with advanced technical knowledge deliberately corrupted system calibration. Petty Officer Larkin's diagnostic analysis helped identify the specific nature of the tampering. Convenient expertise for a simple mechanic, Crowley observed sarcastically. His continued skepticism revealed more about his prejudices than objective assessment. The evidence supported equipment tampering. Kira's analysis had provided valuable insights into the sabotage methods, yet he persisted in questioning her credibility. The standoff was interrupted by new arrivals to the range. Captain Reese Whitman approached with 2 security personnel. His presence elevated the situation to official command attention. Equipment sabotage fell under his direct authority. Master Chief, report, Whitman ordered. Harlow provided a concise summary of events: the qualification attempt, discovery of sabotage, ongoing investigation into responsible parties. Her report stuck to verified facts without speculation about motives or suspects. Whitman absorbed the information with professional calm. Equipment sabotage was serious business requiring thorough investigation and appropriate response. But the situation also presented training opportunities that shouldn't be wasted. Has the system been repaired? He asked. Yes, sir. Calibration has been restored to factory specifications. Then we proceed with the qualification. I want to see what Petty Officer Larkin can do with properly functioning equipment. The order surprised everyone present. Most expected the qualification to be postponed pending investigation completion. Instead, the captain was directing immediate continuation, direct observation of her actual capabilities. Crowley opened his mouth to object but caught himself. Questioning a captain's direct order would be career suicide. Instead, he arranged his expression into professional acceptance while privately hoping for spectacular failure. Kira returned to the weapon system with mixed emotions. Relief at receiving a fair chance competed with pressure from increased scrutiny. The captain's personal observation elevated stakes beyond routine qualification. Failure would have broader consequences. She settled into firing position once again. The crowd reformed around the range perimeter. Interest had shifted from casual entertainment to serious evaluation. Everyone wanted to witness the outcome of this unusual situation. The targeting system responded normally now. No systematic errors or false calibration data, just precise mechanical function waiting for competent operation. The playing field was finally level. Kira initiated her targeting sequence with smooth efficiency, located her first target, adjusted for environmental factors, controlled her breathing, applied steady trigger pressure. The round struck target center with satisfying accuracy. "Center hit," announced the range officer. Surprised murmurs ran through the crowd. The first successful shot contradicted expectations. Maybe the sabotage theory was correct. Maybe she actually possessed genuine competence disguised by earlier interference. She proceeded to the second target without pause. Smooth traverse. Quick acquisition, precise alignment, another center hit, then a third, fourth, fifth, all within the time limit, all demonstrating advanced marksmanship skills. Perfect score, the range officer announced with obvious amazement. The qualification range fell silent except for wind across metal structures. Perfect scores were rare even among experienced gunners. For a maintenance worker to achieve such results seemed impossible. Yet the evidence was undeniable. Captain Whitman approached the firing line with measured steps. His expression revealed nothing of his thoughts. Professional neutrality masking personal assessment of what he'd witnessed. "Impressive shooting, petty officer," he said quietly. "Where did you develop such marksmanship skills?" Kira faced another moment requiring careful response. Her performance had exceeded expectations by too wide a margin. Explaining superior accuracy without revealing advanced training would be difficult. "Practice, sir. Personal time at civilian ranges." The explanation felt weak even as she spoke it. Civilian ranges didn't provide access to military weapon systems. Practice with similar equipment might transfer some skills, but not to the level she'd demonstrated. Whitman studied her with calculating eyes. Something about this woman didn't match her official record. Her performance suggested training far beyond routine maintenance background, training that raised questions about her true qualifications and current assignment. "What civilian ranges offer practice with 30mm cannons?" he asked pointedly. The question trapped her in logical impossibility. No civilian facility possessed such equipment. Her explanation was obviously false. She needed a better story or honesty about her background. "I meant small arms practice, sir. Fundamentals transfer between weapons systems." "Not to this degree," Whitman observed. "Perfect scores require specific training and extensive experience." The conversation was drawing unwanted attention. Other personnel moved closer to hear her explanation. Each question revealed more inconsistencies in her cover story. Soon the deception would become impossible to maintain. Crowley sensed an opportunity to regain control of the situation. If the mechanic was lying about her training, he could expose her deception, prove she'd gained unauthorized access to classified instruction, turn her competence into evidence of misconduct. "Captain," he interjected, "perhaps Petty Officer Larkin has been receiving unauthorized training, advanced instruction beyond her security clearance." The suggestion carried serious implications. Unauthorized training violated multiple regulations, could indicate security breaches or inappropriate resource allocation, definitely grounds for disciplinary action and possible criminal charges. "Is that accurate, Petty Officer?" Whitman asked directly. "Have you received unauthorized instruction in advanced weapons systems?" Kira felt the walls closing around her. Denying unauthorized training would require explaining her competence through other means. Admitting to violations would end her career and potentially trigger criminal prosecution. She was trapped between contradictory requirements. Maintaining her cover demanded concealing her true background. But explaining her performance without revealing training was becoming impossible. Something had to give. "Sir, I've studied all available materials and practiced whenever possible," she replied carefully. "That's not what I asked," Whitman pressed. "Have you received instruction beyond your official training records?" The direct question demanded a direct answer. Continued evasion would constitute insubordination in addition to whatever other violations might be suspected. She had to make a choice. Before she could respond, Winslow approached the group with obvious nervousness. His face was pale, hands trembled slightly. The sabotage investigation was apparently affecting him more than others. "Captain," he said hesitantly, "I need to report something about the equipment failure." All attention shifted to the petty officer. His nervous demeanor suggested important information, perhaps evidence about the sabotage perpetrator. Everyone waited for his revelation. "I saw someone tampering with the targeting system before the qualification attempt," he lied desperately. "Someone who shouldn't have been near the controls." The accusation sent shockwaves through the assembled personnel. If Winslow had witnessed sabotage, why hadn't he reported it immediately? His delayed revelation seemed suspicious, almost as suspicious as the tampering itself. "Who did you observe?" Whitman demanded. Winslow's plan had been to implicate someone else, direct suspicion away from himself. But standing in front of the captain, he realized the flaw in his strategy. He couldn't accuse innocent personnel without evidence. False accusations would be quickly exposed. He stammered. "I wasn't sure what I was seeing, didn't want to make false accusations." "But you're making accusations now," Harlow observed. "What changed your mind?" The questioning revealed more holes in his story. Delayed reporting suggested either poor judgment or fabrication. Neither reflected well on his credibility or professionalism. Winslow felt panic overwhelming rational thought. His lies were creating more problems than his original sabotage. Soon the investigation would focus on his inconsistent statements. His guilt would be discovered. "Actually," he said with manufactured reluctance, "I think I might have accidentally caused the calibration error myself while performing routine maintenance checks." The confession surprised everyone except Kira. She'd suspected Winslow based on his access and opportunity. His nervous behavior during the investigation had confirmed her suspicions. Now he was admitting responsibility. "Accidental interference?" Whitman asked skeptically. "The diagnostics indicated deliberate tampering." "I may have inputted incorrect data during system checks," Winslow continued. "Didn't realize the extent of the problem until now." His explanation was plausible but inconsistent with the technical evidence. The sabotage had been sophisticated and systematic, not characteristic of accidental errors during routine maintenance. Harlow stepped forward with diagnostic results still displayed on her equipment. The evidence contradicted Winslow's claims of accidental interference. Someone with advanced knowledge had deliberately corrupted the calibration data. "Petty Officer Winslow," she said formally, "the tampering evidence indicates intentional sabotage, sophisticated interference requiring technical expertise, not accidental data entry errors." Faced with contradictory evidence, Winslow abandoned his deception. The investigation would eventually reveal his guilt regardless of false explanations. Better to confess and hope for lenient treatment. "I sabotaged the system," he admitted quietly. "I was angry about her getting opportunities I've been denied. It wasn't fair." The confession stunned the assembled personnel. Equipment sabotage to prevent someone else's success violated every principle of military service. Jealousy and resentment had driven him to compromise safety and fairness. Captain Whitman's expression hardened. Sabotage motivated by personal grievance was among the most serious misconduct possible. The action endangered personnel and compromised mission readiness. Consequences would be severe. "Security, place Petty Officer Winslow under arrest," he ordered. Charges include equipment tampering, endangering personnel, and conduct unbecoming. As security personnel approached Winslow, the range atmosphere shifted dramatically. What had begun as routine mockery had escalated through sabotage and investigation to formal arrest. The entertainment had become deadly serious. Kira watched Winslow's arrest with mixed emotions. Justice was being served, but at tremendous cost. His career was over, his future destroyed by jealousy and poor judgment, the price of resentment paid in full. With the sabotage resolved, attention returned to her qualification results. Perfect scores achieved under direct command observation, performance that exceeded all expectations and raised continuing questions about her background. "Petty Officer Larkin," Whitman addressed her, "your marksmanship is exceptional, far beyond typical maintenance personnel capabilities." She remained silent, uncertain how to respond. Each explanation had created more problems than it solved. Perhaps honesty was the only remaining option. "I understand your hesitation," Whitman continued, "but your performance suggests training that's not reflected in your official record. I need to understand the discrepancy." The moment had arrived, the choice between maintaining deception or revealing truth. Her cover was already compromised by her competence. Continuing the charade would only create more complications. But before she could respond, Senior Chief Carver approached with equipment Winslow had been handling earlier. His examination of the sabotage evidence had revealed additional information about the tampering methods and timing. "Captain," Carver announced, "I've found evidence that the sabotage was more extensive than initially believed. Multiple systems were compromised." The revelation added new dimensions to the investigation. If Winslow had tampered with additional equipment, other qualification attempts might have been affected. The scope of his misconduct was expanding. "What other systems were compromised?" Whitman demanded. "Communication interfaces and diagnostic protocols," Carver reported, "potentially affecting weeks of testing and evaluation results." The implications were staggering. Weeks of personnel evaluations might be invalid. Qualifications might need to be repeated. The administrative nightmare would consume months of rescheduled testing. Meanwhile, Kira's perfect performance stood as the only reliable result from recent weeks. Her scores were achieved after sabotage discovery and system repair, under direct command observation, with verified equipment functionality. It appears your qualification is the only valid result we have, Whitman observed. Perfect scores achieved under verified conditions. The irony wasn't lost on anyone present. The woman they'd mocked as incompetent had achieved the only reliable results, while qualified personnel had their scores invalidated by sabotage. Crowley struggled to process this reversal. His assumptions about her capabilities had been proven spectacularly wrong. His mockery now appeared unprofessional and prejudiced. His authority was undermined by obvious bias. Perhaps we should investigate how a maintenance worker achieves such exceptional results, he suggested weakly. Perhaps we should recognize exceptional performance regardless of background, Harlow countered. Results speak louder than assumptions. The exchange highlighted the central issue: prejudice versus performance, assumptions versus evidence, bias versus objective evaluation. The morning's events had exposed uncomfortable truths about judgment and fairness. Captain Whitman made his assessment with command authority. Performance was measurable. Results were objective. Whatever questions remained about her background, her competence was undeniable. Petty Officer Larkin, he announced formally, you have achieved perfect scores on advanced weapons qualification. Your performance exceeds standards for this system. The official recognition silenced remaining skeptics. Perfect scores were perfect scores regardless of expectations or prejudices. Her competence was now officially documented and command endorsed. But questions about her background remained unanswered. How had a maintenance worker achieved such exceptional results? Where had she acquired advanced training? What other capabilities might she possess? The investigation into her true background was about to begin in earnest, and that investigation would reveal secrets that would shock everyone present. Secrets that would transform their understanding of who Kira Larkin really was. The administrative investigation took 3 hours to complete. 3 hours of questioning witnesses, reviewing evidence, and documenting Winslow's misconduct. 3 hours during which Kira Larkin sat in the base legal office, waiting to learn her fate. The perfect qualification scores had been authenticated. Her competence was officially documented. But questions about her background continued growing like storm clouds on the horizon. Master Chief Harlow entered the waiting area with a manila folder thick with paperwork. Her expression revealed nothing about the investigation's outcome. Standard military bearing masking whatever conclusions had been reached. Petty Officer Larkin, she said formally, the sabotage charges against you have been dismissed. Evidence conclusively demonstrates that Petty Officer Winslow acted alone in tampering with the targeting system. Relief washed through Kira's chest like cool water. The sabotage accusation had been the most immediate threat to her cover. With that cleared, she could continue maintaining the facade of a talented but otherwise unremarkable mechanic. However, Harlow continued, questions remain about your exceptional performance. Captain Whitman has requested a comprehensive review of your training background and service record. The relief evaporated instantly. A comprehensive review would expose inconsistencies in her cover story, reveal gaps in her official history, potentially uncover classified information about her true background and current assignment. Master Chief, is there a specific concern about my service record? Kira asked carefully. The concern is that your demonstrated capabilities don't match your documented training. Perfect scores on advanced weapon systems require extensive instruction and practice. Your record shows neither. Harlow opened the folder and reviewed the top document. According to your file, you completed basic Navy technical training 18 months ago. Assigned to maintenance duties at 3 different bases. No advanced weapons instruction, no specialized combat training. Yet you performed like a seasoned combat veteran. Each statement tightened the noose around her deception. The cover story had been designed to withstand casual scrutiny, not intensive investigation by experienced military personnel who understood the relationship between training and performance. I've always been a quick learner, Master Chief. Natural aptitude combined with dedicated study. Natural aptitude doesn't explain muscle memory. The way you handled that weapon system suggested years of experience. Automatic responses developed through repetitive training under stress. Harlow closed the folder and studied Kira with calculating eyes. I've been training personnel for 15 years. I recognize the difference between quick learning and advanced conditioning. You demonstrated advanced conditioning. The observation was accurate but dangerous. Acknowledging advanced conditioning would require explaining how she'd acquired it. Denying it would contradict obvious evidence observed by multiple witnesses. Perhaps my previous assignments provided more hands-on experience than reflected in official records, Kira suggested. Which assignments? I've contacted your previous commanding officers. None report providing advanced weapons training to maintenance personnel. Standard protocol doesn't authorize such instruction without proper clearances. The investigation was becoming more thorough than anticipated. Background checks with previous commands would reveal additional inconsistencies. The deception was unraveling despite her careful preparation. Before Kira could respond, Captain Whitman entered the waiting area. His presence elevated the conversation to command level. Whatever decisions were made would carry official weight and lasting consequences. "Petty Officer Larkin," he said without preamble, "your performance today was extraordinary. It was also inconsistent with your documented background. I need to understand this discrepancy." "Sir, I've explained that I studied available materials and practiced whenever possible." "That explanation is insufficient. Master Chief Harlow has contacted your previous assignments. None provided advanced weapons training. None authorized access to the specialized instruction required to achieve your level of competence." Whitman gestured toward the folder in Harlow's hands. "Your service record shows 18 months of routine maintenance work. Oil changes, basic repairs, equipment servicing, nothing that would develop advanced marksmanship or weapons handling skills." The captain moved closer, his voice dropping to conversational level. "I'm going to ask you directly, and I expect an honest answer. Have you received classified training not reflected in your official record?" The question demanded truth or convincing deception. Classified training could explain her competence while maintaining operational security, but claiming unauthorized access to classified instruction carried serious legal consequences. "Sir, I cannot discuss classified matters without proper authorization and secure facilities." The response was carefully crafted, neither confirming nor denying classified involvement, invoking security protocols to avoid immediate disclosure while suggesting legitimate reasons for secrecy. Whitman exchanged glances with Harlow. Both recognized the implication. If Larkin possessed legitimate classified training, her reticence was appropriate. If she was fabricating, the security excuse provided temporary cover. "Very well," Whitman decided. "We'll continue this discussion in a secure environment with appropriate clearances present." The decision bought time but escalated the stakes. A secure briefing would involve intelligence personnel and security investigators, people trained to uncover deception and verify classified backgrounds. Her cover would face its most serious challenge. 2 hours later, Kira sat in a windowless, secure conference room deep within the base administrative complex. The walls were lined with acoustic dampening material. Electronic countermeasures ensured no surveillance devices could function. Whatever was discussed would remain completely confidential. Present were Captain Whitman, Master Chief Harlow, and Commander Sarah Chen from Naval Intelligence. Chen's presence indicated the investigation had reached levels requiring specialized expertise in classified programs and covert operations. "Petty Officer Larkin," Commander Chen began, "your performance today has raised questions that fall under my jurisdiction. Before we continue, I need to verify your current security clearance and operational status." Chen produced a secure tablet and began accessing classified databases. Her investigation would reveal Kira's true background within minutes. The moment of truth had arrived. "According to the classified personnel database," Chen continued, "your official record matches what's been discussed. Basic technical training, routine maintenance assignments, no advanced combat instruction." The commander looked up from her tablet. "However, there are gaps in your documented history, periods where your location and activities are not clearly recorded. These gaps coincide with dates when classified operations were conducted." Kira felt her chest tighten. The gaps were intentional, designed to provide plausible cover for classified activities, but they also created patterns that intelligence professionals could recognize and investigate. "Petty Officer, I'm going to ask specific questions about your activities during these undocumented periods. Your answers will be verified against classified databases. Deception or evasion will result in immediate security investigation." The threat was clear: truth or serious consequences. But revealing her actual background would compromise ongoing operations and potentially endanger other personnel. "Commander, I cannot provide details about classified activities without proper authorization from my chain of command." "Which chain of command?" Chen pressed. "Your official record shows reporting to maintenance supervisors. Are you claiming a separate classified chain of command?" The question was a trap. Acknowledging classified command structure would confirm covert involvement. Denying it would make her current evasion appear fabricated. "I request permission to contact my designated handler for guidance on disclosure protocols," Kira replied. Chen smiled grimly. "Designated handler. Interesting terminology for a maintenance worker. That phrase is typically used by personnel involved in intelligence operations or special activities." The slip had revealed more than intended. Handler relationships were characteristic of covert assignments. Maintenance personnel reported through normal military channels, not handler networks. "Commander," Captain Whitman interjected, "perhaps we should allow Petty Officer Larkin to contact her superiors. If she's involved in classified activities, unauthorized disclosure could compromise operational security." Chen considered the captain's suggestion. Operational security was paramount in classified programs. Forcing disclosure without proper authorization could cause more damage than the current uncertainty. "Very well, you have 2 hours to contact appropriate authorities and obtain disclosure authorization. If no authorization is provided, this investigation proceeds under assumption of unauthorized activity and potential security violations." The ultimatum was harsh but fair. 2 hours to resolve the situation through official channels or face serious consequences. Kira knew her cover was blown regardless of authorization outcome. The investigation had progressed too far to maintain deception. She was escorted to a secure communication facility where she could contact her handler without surveillance. The conversation would be brief and decisive. Either her mission would be revealed, or she would be disavowed to protect larger operations. The secure phone connected after multiple authentication protocols. Her handler's voice was crisp and professional, despite the secure encryption distortion. "Spectre 7, report status. Cover compromised during weapons qualification, naval intelligence conducting background investigation, request guidance on disclosure authorization." A pause while her handler consulted classified databases and operational parameters. The decision would balance her personal situation against broader mission requirements. "Spectre 7, your current mission is complete. Intelligence gathering phase concluded successfully. You are authorized for limited disclosure to resolve security concerns." Relief flooded through her system. Authorization meant she could reveal enough truth to satisfy investigators without compromising ongoing operations. The deception could end without catastrophic consequences. Understood. What disclosure level is authorized? Former Special Operations background, medical separation, current assignment as observational asset. Specific unit designations and operational details remain classified. The parameters were clear. She could acknowledge special operations training to explain her competence. Medical separation would explain current assignment to routine duties. Observational asset would justify her presence without revealing surveillance objectives. Copy all, proceeding with authorized disclosure. The call ended, leaving her alone with the enormity of what was about to happen. For 6 months, she'd maintained the facade of unremarkable mechanic. In minutes, that carefully constructed identity would be replaced by partial truth about her actual background. She returned to the secure conference room where the investigation team waited. Their expressions ranged from professional patience to barely contained curiosity. Everyone understood that classified disclosures were about to reshape their understanding of recent events. "Commander Chen," Kira announced, "I have received authorization for limited disclosure regarding my background and current assignment." "Proceed, Petty Officer." Kira took a measured breath. The moment had arrived to abandon deception and embrace partial truth. "I am former Special Operations personnel medically separated from active duty due to combat injuries. My current assignment involves observational activities requiring maintenance cover." The revelation stunned everyone present. Special Operations background explained her advanced skills. Medical separation justified current assignment to routine duties. Observational activities suggested ongoing intelligence functions. "Which Special Operations unit?" Chen demanded. "That information remains classified, Commander. I can confirm Navy Special Warfare training and multiple combat deployments before medical separation." Chen consulted her secure tablet, cross-referencing Kira's identity against classified Special Operations databases. The search would confirm or contradict her claims within minutes. "Interesting," Chen murmured, studying the screen. "Your identity appears in restricted databases with limited access. The records confirm Special Operations background but provide minimal operational details." She looked up from the tablet. "What I can see indicates extensive combat experience and advanced training. Medical separation for undisclosed injuries. Current assignment classification requires higher clearance than I possess." The partial confirmation satisfied investigative requirements while maintaining operational security. Her Special Operations background was verified without revealing specific units or missions. Captain Whitman processed this information with obvious amazement. The quiet mechanic who'd been mocked that morning was actually a combat veteran with classified background. The morning's events took on entirely different significance. "Petty Officer Larkin," he said carefully. "This information changes my understanding of recent events considerably. Your performance was exceptional because you possess exceptional training and experience." "Yes, sir. I apologize for any deception, but maintaining cover was essential for my current assignment." "What is your current assignment?" Whitman asked. "Base security assessment, sir. Observational analysis of personnel, procedures, and potential vulnerabilities. Maintenance duties provide optimal access and minimal scrutiny." The explanation satisfied curiosity while revealing minimal classified information. Security assessment was plausible and important. Observational analysis was standard intelligence practice. Maintenance cover made operational sense. Master Chief Harlow shook her head with bemused admiration. 6 months you've been here. 6 months of routine work, taking orders, enduring casual dismissal, all while conducting classified intelligence operations. "Yes, Master Chief. The assignment required complete integration into base routine. Maintaining cover was essential for operational effectiveness." Commander Chen closed her secure tablet and stood. "This disclosure resolves the security concerns raised by your performance. Your background explains capabilities that seemed inconsistent with documented training." She paused at the door. "However, your cover is now compromised. Operational effectiveness of your current assignment may be significantly reduced." The observation was accurate but expected. Cover compromise was always a risk in intelligence operations. Sometimes missions ended due to exposure rather than completion. "That determination will be made by my chain of command, Commander. My immediate concern is resolving the investigation and minimizing disruption to base operations." After Commander Chen departed, Captain Whitman and Master Chief Harlow remained in the secure room. Both struggled to process the morning's revelations. The situation had evolved from routine mockery to equipment sabotage to classified disclosure. "Petty Officer Larkin," Whitman said finally, "I owe you an apology. This morning's treatment was unprofessional and inappropriate. You endured harassment and ridicule while conducting classified duties." "No apology necessary, sir. Harassment was part of maintaining cover. Authentic reactions from base personnel provided valuable intelligence about command climate and unit cohesion." The explanation was diplomatic, but accurate. Authentic reactions revealed true attitudes and behaviors. Staged responses would have provided false information about base culture and leadership effectiveness. Nevertheless, the treatment you received reflects poorly on this command. Lieutenant Commander Crowley's behavior was particularly unprofessional. Harlow nodded agreement. The mockery and assumptions revealed biases that compromise effective leadership. Personnel were judged by appearance rather than capability. The observations identified real problems requiring command attention. Bias and prejudice undermined unit effectiveness and morale. Leadership that enabled harassment created toxic environments. "Captain," Kira said carefully, "my observations documented systematic issues with personnel evaluation and treatment. The morning's events were not isolated incidents, but representative of broader patterns." "What patterns specifically?" "Assumptions based on gender, background, and assignment rather than demonstrated competence. Tolerance for harassment disguised as humor. Reluctance to investigate equipment problems that might reflect poorly on preferred personnel." Each observation was supported by documented evidence from her 6 months of covert surveillance. The intelligence gathered would support comprehensive assessment of base leadership and unit climate. These observations will be included in my final report, which will be forwarded through appropriate channels. Recommendations will address systemic issues requiring command attention. Captain Whitman absorbed this information with growing concern. A negative intelligence assessment could affect his career and the base's operational status. Unit climate problems reflected on leadership effectiveness. What recommendations are you considering? Enhanced bias awareness training for leadership personnel, revised evaluation procedures emphasizing performance over assumptions, stricter enforcement of harassment policies, regular climate assessments to identify emerging problems. The recommendations were standard but necessary. Implementing them would require sustained command commitment and cultural change. Success would depend on leadership dedication to improvement. Their discussion was interrupted by urgent knocking on the conference room door. Master Chief Harlow opened it to find a visibly agitated communications specialist. "Master Chief, we have an urgent situation developing on the flight line. Lieutenant Commander Crowley is conducting an unauthorized formation with multiple personnel. He's making statements about this morning's events that are causing significant disruption." The news prompted immediate concern. Crowley's earlier behavior had been unprofessional but contained. Public statements about classified investigations could compromise operational security and create broader disciplinary issues. What kind of statements? Captain Whitman demanded. Sir, he's claiming that Petty Officer Larkin's background disclosure is fabricated. He's suggesting conspiracy to conceal her incompetence through false classified claims. Personnel are becoming confused and divided about the truth. The situation was rapidly deteriorating. Crowley's refusal to accept reality was creating command crisis. His public challenge to classified disclosures could undermine base security and operational effectiveness. Assemble security personnel, Whitman ordered. I'll address the situation immediately. As they prepared to leave the secure facility, Kira made a decision that would dramatically escalate the confrontation. She'd endured enough deception and harassment. The time had come for complete truth. Captain, request permission to accompany you to this formation. There's something I need to show Lieutenant Commander Crowley and the assembled personnel. Whitman studied her expression. Something in her demeanor suggested momentous revelation. What do you intend to show them? Proof that cannot be fabricated or dismissed. Physical evidence of my actual background and training. The cryptic response intrigued both officers. Physical evidence implied something tangible and indisputable, something that would resolve all questions about her true identity. Very well, Petty Officer. You have permission to accompany us. The flight line was chaos when they arrived. Nearly 100 personnel had gathered around Lieutenant Commander Crowley, who stood on a maintenance platform addressing the crowd. His voice carried clearly across the concrete expanse. This woman has deceived everyone with fabricated stories about special operations background, he declared. No combat veteran would accept the harassment she endured. No special operator would hide behind maintenance duties for months. Murmurs of agreement ran through portions of the crowd. Crowley's arguments seemed logical to personnel unfamiliar with intelligence operations and cover requirements. The truth is simpler, he continued. She received unauthorized training from someone with advanced knowledge, probably an instructor who took pity on her inexperience. Now she's created elaborate stories to avoid punishment for training violations. The explanation was plausible but completely false. It appealed to people's assumptions while ignoring evidence of her actual capabilities and background. Captain Whitman approached the formation with authority and determination. Lieutenant Commander Crowley, you will cease this unauthorized assembly immediately. Personnel will return to assigned duties. Captain, respectfully, the crew deserves to know the truth about this morning's events. They witnessed deliberate deception designed to make them appear prejudiced and unprofessional. Crowley's challenge to command authority was insubordination. Public contradiction of classified disclosures was potentially criminal. His behavior was spiraling beyond acceptable limits. The truth has been established through proper investigation channels, Whitman replied firmly. Classified disclosures have been authorized and verified through appropriate authorities. Convenient disclosures that cannot be confirmed or challenged, Crowley countered. Perfect cover for someone caught in deception. The public challenge demanded decisive response. Crowley was undermining command authority and operational security. His behavior required immediate termination. But before Whitman could act, Kira stepped forward. Her movement drew immediate attention from the assembled crowd. Everyone recognized her as the central figure in the morning's events. Lieutenant Commander Crowley, she said loudly enough for everyone to hear, you're correct that no real combat veteran would tolerate the treatment I received this morning. The statement shocked both Crowley and the crowd. Was she admitting deception, confirming his accusations? Her apparent agreement with his position seemed to validate his claims. The difference, she continued, is that real combat veterans understand sacrifice. We endure personal cost to accomplish mission objectives. We accept hardship to protect something larger than ourselves. Her voice carried across the flight line with authority that commanded attention. The quiet, hesitant mechanic was transforming into something entirely different. For 6 months, I've endured condescension, mockery, and dismissal, not because I lacked the ability to respond, but because responding would have compromised my mission. She began rolling up the sleeves of her coveralls with deliberate precision. The action focused everyone's attention on her arms. Whatever she was about to reveal would be dramatic and decisive. You want proof of my background, Lieutenant Commander? Physical evidence that cannot be fabricated or dismissed? Her right sleeve cleared her elbow, revealing unmarked skin. But her left sleeve continued upward, exposing her inner forearm. As the fabric cleared her wrist, gasps ran through the crowd. There, permanently etched in dark ink on her pale skin, was an unmistakable seal trident. The eagle, anchor, and pistol design was instantly recognizable to anyone with military experience. Below the trident, in smaller numbers, was inscribed Buds Class 234. Lieutenant Commander Crowley's face went white. His mouth opened, but no sound emerged. The physical evidence was undeniable and impossible to fabricate. SEAL tattoos were sacred symbols earned through the most demanding military training in existence. Buds Class 234, Master Chief Harlow whispered, her voice carrying in the sudden silence. That's the Hell Week record holders. Only 12 graduated from that class. The crowd stood frozen in shocked silence. The woman they'd mocked and dismissed as a simple mechanic bore the mark of the Navy's most elite warriors. She was a graduate of basic underwater demolition SEAL training, a member of the most exclusive military brotherhood. Captain Whitman stared at the tattoo with amazement and growing understanding. Everything about the morning's events suddenly made perfect sense. Her competence, her composure under pressure, her systematic approach to problems. These were characteristics of SEAL training. "My God," he breathed. "You're not just former special operations, you're a Navy SEAL." The words hit the assembled personnel like physical force. Navy SEALs were legendary figures, warriors whose reputation exceeded reality in popular imagination. To discover one had been working among them unrecognized was staggering. Kira stood motionless as recognition swept through the crowd. The transformation was complete. The quiet mechanic had vanished, replaced by someone whose presence commanded immediate respect and attention. Lieutenant Commander Crowley struggled to comprehend what he was seeing. The woman he'd mocked and dismissed bore credentials that exceeded his own by several orders of magnitude. His assumptions had been catastrophically wrong. "I don't understand," he stammered. "SEALs don't work maintenance duties. They're assigned to special operations units, elite combat teams." "Unless they're medically separated," Kira replied quietly. "Injuries sustained during classified operations can end combat careers, but not service commitment. We adapt to continue serving in whatever capacity remains possible." The explanation was delivered with quiet dignity that emphasized her sacrifice. She'd lost her elite status due to wounds sustained in service. Now she served in whatever role was available. "What happened?" someone in the crowd called out. "What kind of injury ends a SEAL career?" Kira rolled up her remaining sleeve, revealing extensive scarring on her right arm. The marks were consistent with severe trauma from explosive devices, shrapnel wounds that would have required multiple surgeries and extensive rehabilitation. "IED detonation during extraction operation," she said simply. 17 months of medical treatment and physical therapy. Permanent nerve damage affecting fine motor control in combat situations. The scars told a story of sacrifice and survival. She'd paid the price of military service in blood and pain. Her current assignment to routine duties was accommodation for injuries sustained in combat. The crowd absorbed this information with growing understanding and shame. They'd mocked a wounded warrior, dismissed someone who'd sacrificed her career and health in service to their country. Their entertainment had come at the expense of genuine hero. Master Chief Harlow stepped forward and came to rigid attention. Her salute was crisp and formal, rendered with obvious respect and admiration. "Ma'am, I apologize for this morning's treatment. You deserved better from all of us." Her example prompted immediate response from other senior personnel. One by one, they came to attention and saluted. Recognition of her sacrifice and service regardless of current assignment. Lieutenant Commander Crowley remained frozen, still processing the magnitude of his error. He'd challenged and mocked someone whose credentials far exceeded his own. His behavior had been not just unprofessional, but insulting to genuine military excellence. Captain Whitman approached Kira with measured steps. His expression reflected deep respect and considerable embarrassment about the morning's events. Command responsibility included protecting all personnel under his authority. "Petty Officer Larkin," he said formally, "on behalf of this command, I apologize for the treatment you received. Your service record and sacrifice deserve recognition, not ridicule." "Thank you, Captain, but apologies aren't necessary. My mission required maintaining cover regardless of personal cost. The harassment provided valuable intelligence about command climate and personnel attitudes." Her professional response emphasized mission focus over personal grievance. Even wounded and assigned to routine duties, she maintained the SEAL dedication to mission accomplishment above personal comfort. The crowd began dispersing as senior personnel directed them back to assigned duties. The revelation had fundamentally changed dynamics on the base. Everyone now understood they'd witnessed something extraordinary disguised as routine. Lieutenant Commander Crowley remained motionless, still staring at Kira's tattoo. The physical evidence had shattered his worldview and professional confidence. His assumptions about competence and qualification had been proven spectacularly wrong. "Lieutenant Commander," Kira addressed him directly, "you questioned my background and capabilities. That was appropriate given your observations. A good leader investigates discrepancies rather than accepting them blindly." The generous interpretation of his behavior was unexpected. She could have demanded punishment or public humiliation. Instead, she offered professional courtesy despite his harsh treatment. "However," she continued, "assumptions based on appearance rather than performance limit effective leadership. Personnel should be evaluated by their actions, not preconceptions about their capabilities." The gentle correction contained valuable leadership lesson. Effective commanders recognize talent regardless of packaging. Bias and prejudice diminished unit effectiveness. Crowley struggled to formulate response. His throat felt constricted. Words seemed inadequate to address the magnitude of his misjudgment. How did one apologize to someone whose sacrifice exceeded comprehension? "Ma'am," he finally managed, "I was wrong about everything. Your competence, your background, your character. My behavior was inexcusable." "Your behavior was human, Lieutenant Commander. We all make assumptions based on limited information. The key is learning from mistakes and adjusting our approach accordingly." Her forgiveness was as impressive as her credentials. She possessed the emotional maturity and professional grace that characterized true military leadership. Combat had taught her lessons beyond tactical skills. Captain Whitman made several decisions simultaneously. Kira's cover was blown, making her current assignment ineffective, but her capabilities could serve the base in more direct capacity. "Petty Officer Larkin," he announced, "I'm requesting assignment modification through appropriate channels. Your expertise would benefit our advanced training programs. We need instructors with genuine combat experience." The offer represented significant upgrade from covert surveillance duties. Advanced training instruction would utilize her skills while providing career progression opportunities. "Thank you for the offer, Captain. Any assignment change would require approval from my current chain of command, but I appreciate your confidence in my capabilities." The diplomatic response maintained operational security while acknowledging his gesture. Assignment decisions involved classified considerations beyond base-level authority. Over the following days, the base transformation was remarkable. Word of Kira's background spread through official and unofficial channels. Personnel who'd ignored or dismissed her now approached with questions about training and combat experience. The change created teaching opportunities previously unavailable during her covert assignment. Maintenance personnel sought advice about advanced techniques. Weapons specialists requested demonstrations of combat applications. Training staff consulted her about realistic scenario development. 2 weeks after the revelation, official assignment modification arrived through classified channels. Kira was reassigned to Advanced Combat Training Instructor position. Her cover mission was complete, replaced by direct contribution to base capabilities. The first advanced marksmanship class she taught drew overflow attendance. Personnel who'd witnessed her qualification performance wanted first-hand instruction from someone with genuine combat credentials. Standing before the assembled students, Kira felt satisfaction and honest contribution. No more deception or cover maintenance. No more enduring mockery to gather intelligence. Just direct application of hard-earned knowledge to benefit fellow service members. Advanced marksmanship is more than accuracy, she began her first lesson. It's decision-making under pressure, judgment in complex situations, understanding that every shot has consequences beyond hitting the target. The students absorbed her words with attention that had been absent during her mechanical duties. Authentic expertise commanded respect that fabricated credentials never could. Lieutenant Commander Crowley attended every session, not as skeptic but as dedicated student. His professional humility impressed Kira more than his previous arrogance had annoyed her. During break in the third session, he approached her with obvious nervousness. "Ma'am, I wanted to thank you for the professional courtesy you've shown despite my behavior. Not everyone would be so generous." "Professional development requires learning from mistakes, Lieutenant Commander. Dwelling on past errors prevents future growth." Her response reflected wisdom earned through experience and sacrifice. She understood that holding grudges diminished everyone involved. "I've learned more about leadership in these past weeks than in years of previous training," he admitted. "Your example demonstrates qualities I thought I understood but clearly didn't." The acknowledgement represented genuine growth. His willingness to admit inadequacy and seek improvement suggested character development beyond mere embarrassment about mistakes. 6 months later, the base received recognition for improved training effectiveness and unit climate. Personnel evaluations showed increased confidence and capability across multiple specialties. The transformation was attributed to enhanced leadership training and advanced instruction programs. Kira stood in the base commander's office, receiving formal commendation for exceptional contribution to training effectiveness. The ceremony was private, befitting someone whose background remained partially classified. "Your impact on this base has been transformational," Captain Whitman stated during the presentation. "Personnel performance has improved significantly across all measured categories." "Thank you, sir. The improvement reflects dedication of the entire training staff and commitment of student personnel. Individual contribution is always part of larger team effort." Even receiving recognition, she deflected personal credit to emphasize collective achievement. The humility was characteristic of genuine leadership and professional maturity. Following the ceremony, Kira walked across the same flight line where she'd been mocked months earlier. The base looked identical but felt entirely different. Personnel nodded respectfully as she passed. Conversations stopped not from dismissal but from recognition. She entered the maintenance hangar where her mechanical cover had begun. The space held different memories now. Tools and equipment that had disguised her surveillance mission now represented honest work and direct contribution. Master Chief Harlow approached from the administrative office. "Any regrets about giving up the covert life for honest instruction?" "None whatsoever, Master Chief. Teaching provides satisfaction that surveillance never could. Direct contribution to others' development creates lasting value." Harlow smiled. "The personnel you've trained are spreading throughout the fleet. Your influence multiplies with every assignment they receive." The observation highlighted broader impact of effective instruction. Students carried lessons throughout their careers, passing knowledge to others and expanding circles of influence. "That's the real mission," Kira replied. "Not individual achievement, but systemic improvement, making the entire force more capable through enhanced training and leadership development." As evening approached, Kira stood alone on the observation deck overlooking the base. Lights began flickering on across the facility. Aircraft prepared for night operations. Personnel continued their duties with competence and confidence. She reflected on the morning that had changed everything. The mockery and harassment that had seemed so demeaning had ultimately led to positive transformation. Her sacrifice of personal comfort had yielded benefits beyond original mission parameters. The base was better now, more professional, more focused on genuine capability rather than surface assumptions. The change had required painful revelation but produced lasting improvement. She reached into her pocket and withdrew a small metal object, a SEAL challenge coin, earned through the most demanding training in military service. The coin represented achievements that could never be taken away, regardless of current assignment or physical limitations. For months, she'd hidden this symbol of excellence to maintain operational cover. Now it rested openly in her palm, reflecting light from the setting sun. No more deception, no more concealment, just honest contribution based on genuine capability. Placing the coin on the observation deck railing, she watched it catch the last rays of daylight. The trident emblem seemed to glow with inner fire, reminding her of trials overcome and challenges survived. Tomorrow would bring new training classes, new opportunities to share hard-earned knowledge with personnel eager to improve their capabilities, new chances to contribute directly rather than through covert observation. The transformation was complete. The quiet mechanic was gone forever, replaced by someone whose identity matched her true capabilities. She'd found her place not through deception, but through honest demonstration of genuine worth. As darkness settled over the base, Kira retrieved her challenge coin and headed toward the instructor's quarters. Tomorrow's lesson plans required preparation. Students deserved her best effort, just as her SEAL training had demanded excellence in every endeavor. The most dangerous person in the room was no longer hiding in plain sight. She was standing in front of the classroom, teaching others to recognize excellence wherever it might be found.